somebody asked me like, Holger, what are you doing? Don't you want to come by? So I do. And the vague title was behavior change, because I'm not so much interested in physical things, like, how does my body work? I'm more interested on the psychological side of things, like, can I learn something about myself which will make me a better me in the future somehow? Which is kind of awkward and sounds like a self-help group, but this is maybe the phrasing I do to explain it to my mother or something. The most concrete things I found was activity tracking. I'm not sure how many people here count their steps with a tracker, something like this. Show hands. Yeah. Okay. So this will be mostly about that, and I'm happy that there are some people who don't have this. So yeah, this will be about this. So does it work? Okay. So 3 things I call little experiments, and the format, as you've heard before, is what did I do, how did I do it, what did I learn. So, I was curious about Quantified Self and started tracking in January 2012 without actually any concrete goals. It was more like, hey, what can you count? So, how did I do it? I bought a Fitbit Ultra, which is not the current version anymore, but in January 2012 this was the thing I had ordered in the UK or something because it wasn't available here. Now you can get these things like in the Apple Store or at Karstadt or somewhere probably. So this is, I think, today pretty mainstream. This is how it looks. It's a small thing. It has an accelerometer, which means it tracks movement basically, and what they all promise. And with this, all these trackers are the same. They say how many steps do you do, what's your activity, and also your sleep, because during sleep, when you put it on, it tracks also your movements. And there are some studies which say like if you move a lot, you have light sleep or you don't sleep, and if you don't move at all, you have probably deep sleep. And also you start and stop it so you see how many hours you're actually in bed and probably sleep. So this is how you wear it. You wear it on your belt or in your pocket. And I wore this in these 2 periods. In between time, I borrowed it to a friend of mine who said she couldn't sleep well, and she tried it out and she said it's not for her, it's too much of a hassle. So I got it back and was like in my cupboard a while, and then I got interested in it again. So those 2 periods, so pretty long. So what did I learn? So this is what an average daily step count looked like. And you see the gap in between. So it's about 7,500 steps per day on average. And later it's a bit more, but actually it's not changing that much. So, and also, if you think about what's in the package, it can be a little bit of a nuisance to use this. The left one is actually the charger, and it's a wireless sync, but you need to have this plugged into your computer. And I have a notebook, so I carry it around all the time. And if you're flying or anything, this is just one more thing I have to worry about. So I actually didn't like it that much. And then on the right thing, this is a soft thing where you put it in the night and you put it around your wrist so that it can monitor your sleep, basically. So what did I learn? So actually I'm a very normal person. I'm very... I do not walk enough. The recommended rate is 10,000 steps per day, and 7.5 is not enough, but I'm a computer nerd, so I sit on computer all day, so it's not too bad, but still. And my sleep is actually very good. It was always like 99% accurate, whatever. So I have no idea what they do, but when I sleep, I sleep. And also this is actually what I thought. So charging things, syncing things always sucks, no matter how good you make it. So this is also what we saw in the last years, that all the products try to be more automatic, more set it and forget it type. So measuring your baseline is fun, but only for a few months, and then you can get bored of it if you don't do something about it. And also what I found really strange was, and this is also a problem with all the trackers out there, is who owns my data, because it's my data. So what I had to do for Fitbit was I had to install a driver on my computer, and when I synced it, it was sending it to some server in the US, and then I could download some of it again. And I could even buy an upgrade to see more of my own data, which is totally bullshit, if you ask me. So it's the same with all the trackers actually. This is part of this hardware-software bundling. So, but I wish there was an open source tracker or something where I could choose like, this is the hardware and this is the service or software or self-hosted thing I like. But for now, what I also like, of course, is the good user experience, the good design of these websites. And I personally think also my steps are so, well, it's not a personal privacy issue for me, and this is also why I'm standing here on the stage and tell you about it. But so this is why I could live with having my data somewhere in the US or on some server. So I had some behavior, but I had no change. So my second experiment was, well, what did I do? Well, there's this thing with 10,000 steps I learned, so maybe that's, well, I said to myself, let's try it, we know 10,000 steps. So I set a goal. This is now a different app. It's with Jawbone. This is Jawbone, which is what I'm wearing right now. I got this actually as a gift from a conference, and it was a little bit easier to use for me, so I changed to that. This is what it looks on your wrist. This is how you're supposed to wear it while you're sleeping, so around your wrist. Otherwise, it's actually the same thing. Okay, 10,000 steps. So how did I do it? I told my wife about it. So, which actually was pretty interesting, because then she said like in the afternoon, hey Holger, did you do your 10,000 steps? Maybe we should go for a walk, or something like that, which was pretty surprising, because usually when I bring strange gadgets or so, she always makes fun of me. This is some Wi-Fi. Okay, and also I said, well, okay, let's be conscious about it. You know, I've synced it, how much do I do? Well, am I here on Facebook, or could I rather walk outside? So I'd rather take a walk outside, and maybe not have cake when I'm outside, because this is actually what I did. This is now with a different app I'm not talking about. These are my moves in Kreuzberg, where I live. So the red one is where I'm walking, the others are different means of transportation, but what you see is like that I walk around quite a lot in my neighborhood. Also, these are my Foursquare check-ins for the central area of Berlin. So I've been to quite a few places. This is only central Berlin. And I've been to each of these at least once. So, and again, you see where I live probably, in Kreuzberg. So I like to go to places, and I don't have a car, and I don't take public transportation so much. So yes, I move around, and I did it all the time. So what did I learn in doing this? Well, one question remains. Before I was tracking with Fitbit, and then I was tracking with Jawbone. So for the people who are in the room who have this, they all say like, yeah, but is it the same? Is it accurate? So I was in the lucky position to have both things. And I wore them for both for like 2 months or so. So to just have a comparison. And this is what it looks like. So the red one is the Jawbone up, this one here, and the blue one is this Fitbit Ultra, which I wore on my belt. And you'll see already that this looks very, very similar. So one thing you see also, the spike, where I went like 30,000 steps, I was at a festival. Really nice, and you walk around and dance a lot, and also this is sleep, you don't sleep that much. But apart from that, also sleep patterns were similar. So, since we try to be a little bit nerdy about it, so okay, it's nice to look at these graphs, but is it really scientifically similar? So I found this, it's called StatWing. They have a free demo where you could actually do statistical analysis for noobs like me, who are too scared to use R and who hated SPSS back in university. So, but I've heard of statistical analysis before, and Excel was out of question, and I felt like, okay, is it statistically different in a way? So what you do is, you get these nice answers, and I uploaded both, which I want at the same time, and then the system tells you, there's no statistical significant difference between Fitbit and Jawbone. And the Jawbone sleep tends to be larger than the one of Fitbit. And here are the scientific numbers. So, in the same, I wore exactly the same days, you just saw this, and the average was 11,000 steps with Fitbit and 11,000 steps with Jawbone. So almost like 11,087, 11,003, so it's very, very similar. And also you see the standard deviation, which means like how much did the days differ, is also very similar, and the median as well. With sleep, these are the hours and minutes. So I converted this, is like my average sleep in this time was 6 hours 55 minutes with Fitbit and 7 hours 30 with Jawbone. Maybe it's an error because of this festival, and maybe I didn't use the one that night or something, I'm not sure. But it's also good enough, I would say. So, end of excursion, so we know now they both are the same. So what about the 10,000 steps? So the problem was, when I tried to download this, is that this wristband is actually pretty buggy. So there is an option to get your data, and as I explained before, you upload the data to some server and then you download some of it again. So I can only have daily summaries, for example. What I would like to have is like every 5 minutes or something like this, and nobody gives you that. So, but it was even worse. I downloaded all my data of 2013, and the first 2 months were just missing. So they weren't there, but in this iPhone app, I could see them. You can see them here, these first 2 bars. Also, after 2 months, my Fitbit broke. It was broken, so I had a replacement sent over from San Francisco, which took like 1 month. So I didn't have any data 1 month, which is really something I didn't like. And this is also why I don't have the, yeah?
So you said your Fitbit was broken? Do you mean your Java?
No, the Java one was broken, sorry. I didn't use the Fitbit then anymore.
Cool.
You're completely right, thanks. So I don't have really accurate data on that, but my feeling was, so it does help to say, hey, let's go out and walk a bit so that I get my 10,000 steps and make this a little bit something you talk about and say, hey, it's sunshine or whatever. And it's not my computer, by the way. Going for a walk and going to festivals is probably not enough. So I had a little change in my behavior. So the last experiment is, well, I said I need to get a routine to make sure that I have always 10,000 steps. So what did I do? Well, I said, well, there's this thing called jogging and running or so. I'm not a sports guy, I've never done any sports. But I've heard this. Well, actually I did do back in university. I found my old jogging sneakers and they were really lousy. So I said, okay, I will run 60 kilometers. And if I do this, only then I buy a new pair of shoes. So I did this and I got there, and it's actually fun when you go to Karstadt, and the first thing they offer is like to videotape your running style and quantify it in a way. And I say, well, I'm in Karstadt at Hammerplatz, you know, and now this is not really cutting edge. Obviously in the sports world, measuring things is pretty normal. So, how did I do this? So, for those of you who haven't been in Berlin so long, the Tempelhof airfield is like one of the most awesome places in the world, I would say. It's this abandoned airfield and you can run like 8 kilometers around it. It's one of the biggest parks in urban areas, I would say. Only Tiergarten is bigger, and Central Park in New York probably. And this is like what it looks like when you run there in the winter. That's not me, but it looks the same. So it can be pretty cool to go outside as a nerd like me to say, hey, actually there's outside, there's weather, there's nature and stuff like that. Also, I've heard of that there's a half marathon in end of March in Berlin, and supposedly people sign up there and then they all run together for some reason. So I signed up there and found that on Runkeeper, which is another app, it actually coaches you on go from 0 to a half marathon by giving you like a plan on what to do today. So this is what it looks like. There's like a nice trainer who trains you. It's actually a photo, I have no idea who that is. But actually it says like every other day you need to do something. And one day it's like, today it was like run as fast as you can for 30 minutes. Sometimes it's like go for 12.5 kilometers, and it's like really a coach. Like it starts easy and gets more, it gets more and more difficult, so that I'm ready for the half marathon. So I did this, and also I bought a WeThings scale, because I wanted this cause and effect to see like what does change if I suddenly start sports or something. So what this does is it also measures your body fat, which is like the percentage of fat and lean mass. Also because I tend to be bored when I run, I installed this app. It's called Zombies Run, and it's like an audio book, an interactive one. When the story goes like this, there are zombies behind you and you have to run as fast as you can. And in the between, then there's like your music, and then there's again the story, and you're like, it's in the you written. Like they always talk to you over the headphones. So I'm running around Kreuzberg like crazy because I have to rescue the world and there are zombies behind me, which is really motivating. I totally recommend this to anybody. It's like, it's pretty, like for an iPhone app or something, it's like I think €5 or so. But compared to an audiobook or something, which is actually what I also did, like you have time to listen to like 20-hour audiobooks I never got around to. So I have this commute now which I can fill with interesting things, which is also nice if you run around and then you listen to, nice audiobooks. So how did I do it? Committed to a workout plan, measured my body fat every day, and entertained myself while running. So what did I learn? Well, actually it was surprising to me that I actually can run regularly. This is like the duration of runs I did since I started. Also, this is a comparison before and after I started running, and before the average was 8,960 steps per day, and now it's 11,176. So this is also from StatWing, by the way. Looks nerdy, it's actually, yeah, but it works, and also I feel that I walk more because running actually gets you a lot of steps. My body fat declined, so I was from 16% down to 14%. Which can be very motivating, that you see something moving in a way. It didn't move for a month, so maybe I need to change anything else. So I didn't change any dieting or anything. I ate whatever I did before, didn't change anything. I like what I eat. But, well, this for that much.
You didn't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, well actually I did. So this is Christmas here. So also, this is Christmas, so I was here, and when I came back I was here. So. This is just like the average weight, to say. So the dots are the measure points, and the line is like the estimated ones, because you don't weight the same every day. Okay, so so seeing any data is a motivating reward. So what I did whenever I came back, I looked at my track on Runkeeper, and this was like my third fastest run in the below 8 kilometer range. Sounds so silly, but it's actually fun to look at. And it's a reason to go, because you want to see if you can beat it, you want to see what different track you took, how long it was. And seeing change is extremely motivating. 2% body fat loss is not really much to see, and I'm happy that I didn't have to do any diet. I have a lot of respect for people who lost a lot of weight, because I believe it's really hard. So, but seeing this tiny change it's like a total first world problem, was really motivating anyways for me. And also other things happen, like you run around and then other people who are obviously joggers like greet you in a way, wave at you, and they're like, who are you, So supposedly I'm now one of the sporty people or so, whatever. What I also found surprising is weather is never bad. I always thought, well, I cannot go out, it's like bad weather. It actually, when you do go out and you don't have shorts but long trousers, there was no winter in Berlin yet, but until 0 degrees Celsius, it's no problem to go out and run, and this surprised me a bit. And also to have a detailed plan helps a lot. So this strange guy telling me go for 12.5 kilometers today, it's like, yeah, I can do it, but go run. This was like more boring, so I liked the change of it. So yes, so I had behavior, and finally I changed something. And in conclusion, so I'm not a machine, but technology actually helped me as a nerd to start doing some kind of sport. Maybe there are also different ways, but this is what entertained me. Also, I think the data should be mine and also easy to retrieve, so that I can do more with that. And also, when I was looking at the data, I also think I really should learn R, so the statistical open source language. And I'm happy that Florian announced that there will be a workshop on the Quantified Self Meetup. How about you? Okay, I'm totally your student. So it's fun to look at these things, it's motivating, do it. Alright, thanks, that was that, not for me.